Okay, we are recording now, so everybody knows that. I want to say thank you for coming. I know that we have been in such a transition time for a while, and I just want to appreciate Scott Phillips right now. Scott has stepped in with a lot of complicated systems, a lot of what he described as 5 different working systems that were all intricately connected through a spider web. And we pulled one out and the whole thing just kind of came collapsing in. And Scott has brought clarity and wonderful, wonderful intentionality and tenacity in digging through what I described is jumping down 6 feet into the ocean, pulling out a treasure chest, opening it up to find out it's all in Klingon and how to translate that. And so Scott, our deepest appreciation for all you've done to this presbytery, not to us, but for us.
I like that.
We feel that absolutely on so many levels. But today, I appreciate your time. I know it's very precious. Where we're at is we're ready to make these transitions with Miller, and Scott is wanting to show you what will be asked of you as we move forward and what you need to do as a moderator. We are recording, so I just want to be public about that as well, because we want to be able to share it with those who couldn't join us. So Scott, were you wanting to open in prayer, or can I?
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay,
We're
let's
going to
pray.
hear enough of my voice. You go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
Divine love, as we gather this morning, we pray for infusion of caffeinated energy to Scott, and we pray for all of us. God, we know that money and finances, and sometimes this can cause anxiety or confusion. So we ask for clarity, we ask for simplicity, and we ask for your love and grace to just abound. Be with us in this time. Amen.
Amen.
It's all yours.
All right. I'm going to invite you. What I'll do is I'll kind of walk through forms. It sounds more complicated than it is. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to say. It actually is a system that at the end of the day is going to benefit us. We right now are kind of an IRS audit nightmare. We don't really have a consistent paper trail. We don't have a consistent 2-signature voucher system. And there's a lot of things that would, I think Miller said it beautifully when they did an initial audit of our system. They said, we do not believe any wrongdoing has occurred, but it is the perfect system as currently constructed for wrongdoing to occur if it wanted to. and that's what we're trying to fix, is the idea of, we're also trying to make it less dependent on one individual, and have a level of accountability and have a level of back and forth, because I know from my short time in talking with some of you that one of the difficulties in the past has been you would get your budget, or you would get a report and say, wait, where did those $2,000 go? And you would find out that somebody from your board, or you would find out that somebody maybe even on staff, unbeknownst to you, had made an appropriation, and it just, the information has not been solid at times and has been not communicated well at others. So my super goal in all of this is that everything will be clear and everything will be readable and everything will be understandable by not only you, but from whoever is walking into a Presbyterian meeting for the first time. To me, that's essential. And I don't think that's been the case for a while. So what I want to start with is, if you have a hard copy of our fund distribution form, it's going to show you what the basic information we're going to ask for. What I'm going to do is walk through the digital version of that form, because I would imagine, especially right now, that's going to be your primary means by which to submit that form. Now, that said, it might be easier if you're meeting in person. I don't know that anybody really is meeting in person right now, but if you are, and when the day comes, God willing, that we do meet in person again, it might be easier just to have that form present at the meeting, so that when, let's say, Nikki, you approve CPM scholarships, you just boom, boom, sign it right there, scan it, and submit it, okay? But let me, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Terry just went and got me coffee. Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh. Oh my, I have the world's best admin. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Anyway, all right. So that's going to be on the recording, isn't it, Dee? That's amazing. No, we have an
It stands
eternal
for
record
prayer.
of Terry's awesomeness. Yes, this is, yes. All right. Anyway, so let me share my screen. And what I'm going to do is pull up our digital form. Can you all see that? No? Let me try sharing my screen again. Let's try this. Did that work? We should have done a dry run on this. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There. How's that? That good? Okay. So what you're seeing is, I think Michelle sent the link. If not, we'll get it to you. And what you're seeing is basically the digital version of the hard copy you have that she sent you. This is the Heartland Presbyterian Funds distribution request form. Let me just run through the fields required. Individual requesting funds. Ooh, anybody wants my credit card information? It just popped up there. You have first and last name, of course. You're just going to put your name in there. Committee requesting funds. I use the language of committee, but I might change it actually to entity. Because let's say you're functioning in some other capacity. The biggest one right here, Heartland budget account number. This is a new thing that I know in the past you've called Brian Hathorn, or you've called whoever, you've just simply said, can you pull X amount out of X fund, or whatever. And what I've realized in going through the accounting system is that even a request that seems simple from a moderator at times has gotten complicated on the distribution. So what I'm going to need you to do is be familiar. You don't need to be familiar entirely with this chart of accounts, but with your committee's accounts in particular. And again, I realize that this familiarity and communication goes both ways. Okay, so hopefully I will be able to give you clearer, more accurate reports. And then you will be able to say, hey, I need to pull this from fund number 20700. Now, I know it's a little bit intimidating. I got 6 pages right here, okay? And that's why I'm encouraging you to kind of focus on your area. Let me tell you though, if you think 6 pages is intimidating, if you print out the chart of accounts on the old QuickBooks system, 33 pages, folks, okay? So it could be worse, okay? It could be worse. We are working to simplify the line items and to simplify, in particular, the numbers that you're gonna need to type into here, but that's an essential part. Now, I am going to put in here, and I haven't quite figured out how to do it yet. I'm still learning. This is my first Cognito form. Anyway, I'm going to put multiple budget numbers in here and allow for, let's say, you want to pull out of 2 different funds on one check. I know that happens oftentimes where specifically if you're talking reimbursements, I'm thinking of Sarah and some of the new worshiping communities requests that we've gotten where there's a couple things on one request and they might come out of 2 different funds. So there will be that functionality on this form and on the hard copy as well. Recipient of funds, and that's why I put in parentheses here, basically the name on the check, okay, or electronic funds transfer, address of the recipient. This one's important. Short description of fund use. Preachers, you have 150 characters, okay? It's intentionally designed that it be succinct, okay? Of course, the all-important amount requested and date requested. And then authorizing signatures. I have some suggestions underneath for who that might be, but The important thing is that we have two people in position of power who are looking over this and signing it. Now, the two major things I want to walk through on the functionality of this form. The first is this button right here, the upload button. This is for receipts. Scan your receipts, scan your forms, or if you have digital copies, and you'll be able to attach them to this form for the documentation, okay? And the other important thing is the save button, okay? And I'm actually going to click on the save button here to show you what pops up. This is a link. So let's say, I don't want to pick on the same people. Let's say Elizabeth has a request and Elizabeth needs Dee to sign the form. Elizabeth will do everything, will fill it out, copy this link, send it to Dee, then Dee can put her signature in on the second signature and save it so that we have the two signatures. That's the functionality that's essential, because I had this nightmare in my brain of somebody printing this out, signing it, rescanning it, all those different things. It's pretty simple. And that way you can send somebody a saved link and they can put that second signature on it, easy as pie. And then finally, of course, there's a submit button. The submit button will send it to me, and we'll make sure that it's a part of our next request. And I'm actually talking with Jennifer today, who is our representative from Miller Management, about the combination of their systems and then our old bill.com system to go ahead and make disbursements of checks and distributions. I'm going to stop there if we have questions. Dee?
Yeah, Scott, so I'm just thinking of process. So Elizabeth has sent me this request for a Tahiti vacation, and she signed it and I've signed it. When I sign it, then does it go back to her and she hit submit, or do I hit submit?
You're able to hit submit. The second signer can hit submit. Honestly, either of you can. So as long as there's two signatures on the form, you might notice they're both required for submission. So as long as there's two signatures on the form, either one of you can hit submit. Does that make sense, Dee?
It does. I wonder if it's really setting it up that the second person is the one who submits it, so that they're not sitting there waiting thinking the other has.
Right. And that's going to require some communication. And I'm also going to send out, we'll send out confirmation to the interested parties as well. So it's a trigger part of the system. Any other questions? Trying to go back to my Brady Bunch view.
I have a question, Scott.
Oh.
I am just thinking ahead to when we have to figure out the budget line that we're submitting something from.
Yeah.
I presume you would rather have us email you our thoughts and have you confirm that we are selecting the correct budget than to.
Yep. Call and text are better too.
Okay.
And I want to emphasize, I've done a poor job of communicating with Michelle. Please email me at my Northminster address. When I first came into the Presbytery, I didn't have a Northminster address yet.
Okay.
And I submitted Scott R. Phillips 36. That's one I don't check as often. My Northminster pastor is northminsterpastor@gmail.com or financials@heartlandpresby.org or PBY, not Presby, PBY.org are the ones that are going to be the ones where you're going to reach me most readily. But yes, please, and please me, okay? Not Michelle, not the 5-hour a week person. That's what I see my job as, is kind of interpreter of the budget. So if you have questions about that, definitely please push them my way and we'll talk through it together.
Scott, Nikki's got her hand up.
Yep, Nikki.
Yeah, I am curious about who is the second signer and how we figure that out. Is that always the staff person that's staffing our committee or commission, or is that another person on the commission? How do we determine who our second person is?
I think more often than not, I would prefer for it to be the staff person if a staff person is resourcing your committee. It can be two people on the committee as well, because there's going to be another level, believe it or not, of authentication even after this form. and a staff member and myself and probably Jim, who is our assistant treasurer, will need to okay this even after we get this form. So we're functionally going to have 5 approvals on every check. Okay, it's overkill, but I would say, you know, if a staff person is available and ready, that would be ideal. If your staff resource is in a pinch, or if you can't make that happen, just another member of the committee who is a part of the decision-making process would be fine.
So I know you'll give me grief about this later, but doesn't that, like, I'm not in a large church, and I would be horrified if I had to come through, if everything that went through any committee reimbursement I had to see and sign off on. Doesn't that place a lot of additional work on our, whoever comes as our staff people?
Right, go ahead, Dee.
I was going to offer it not be the presbyter leader for vision and leadership, because they are going to be doing the other one in addition to that. So if some of the other positions might be, or it could be somebody on your committee is actually submitting this,
Right.
and then the moderator is the second signature.
Yeah, and I, so Nikki, let's say somebody comes to you, let's say that somebody comes to you requesting funds, they would be, it's why I use the language of primary requester, and then you would be the second signature. That would be great. Does that make sense?
It does. If it's in our minutes that the body has voted on it,
Yep.
Does that, I still just need to get 2 signatures?
Yep. That's the difference between Presbyterian polity and IRS accountability. I hate to say, Nikki, where they just want 2 people to sign off that this was approved. So yeah, it can just be another person at the meeting. But they really want 2 signature authentication.
Okay.
Okay. Joe.
Yeah, just quickly, I noticed that I'm on an administrative commission, which is in some cases temporary, and I see that there's a line item under that administrative commission is under the council, but we have several administrative commissions, so that are temporary rather than say COM or whatever. Is there those additional numbers on there? Is that going to be, you got 2 zeros at the end of that. Is that going to be assigned, say, for the committee on discernment and dissolution? Is that the way it'll be handled?
So we're actually in the Dee, do you want to answer that? Or do you want me to answer that?
Well, if I can answer it. So Joe, for the administrative commissions, if you're working with a specific piece, and this is where there's a trade-off, you won't take out of that fund. That actually is a fund that's an administrative fund for the council if there's additional needs.
Oh, okay.
For you, you'll go to your property line item, and that's the item that you will use. So if you'll look at, I think it's under Board of BOT designated.
Yep.
Is that where it's at?
Yep.
And you'll see there are several pieces there. Those are properties that are in process.
What's the number? I'm sorry, I'm not getting it.
25, well, there's several, 2510, and it continues down to 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yep.
Do you see that? It's page 3, I believe. Of
Yellow, it's kind of shaded.
Yeah, I'm there. 2510. Oh, I see. Property fund. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, will it matter is again, it doesn't matter, but you won't be able to distinguish then between, say, different administrative commissions that might be operating.
Keep going down.
Are.
Yeah, keep going down. See,
So-
it's got.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
So like say,
Okay, I got it now. Okay.
No.
I want to go ahead and say this so that others, because we have others who are on administrative commissions. So if it's in the AC, you're responsible for the maintenance of the property, the lawn mowing, maybe there's repairs, maybe there's an appraisal. You will take it out of your line item for that property. When the property is ready to be listed and sold, it goes to the Board of Trustees, but they will still utilize that same line item until the sale. then those funds will go into that line item. But that way we can track, because this has been part of the issue, is we haven't been able to track all the expenses needed on that property before and then after sale.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions?
Scott,
Go ahead, sir.
sorry, is there a way to save this form for our files? I know I like to track things in our drive.
And that's, when you submit, you will have the option to save.
Oh, got it. Like as a PDF or something.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You have the
Sorry if I
option to
missed
save.
that.
If that functionality doesn't work, let me know and I'll just send you a copy. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Because that's, like I said, it's my first Cognito form, so I'm realizing. And through this whole process, folks, call me, email me. We are sharpening the sword as we are using it right now. Saw, not sword. We'll be builders. We are sharpening the saw as we're using it. So feedback is essential, and will be heard and will be managed. So absolutely, Dee, go ahead.
And we wanted to say these forms will be available on our webpage.
Yep.
So you're not having to keep track of, oh my gosh, what did I do with that form? You can just go to the webpage and it'll be there.
Yeah, the hot link there. Greg.
Yeah, well, some of this, will this process be written down so I can share it with the finance committee of Pullman?
Yep. And
Okay.
I'm going to try and do my best to generate this for Bill and for Pullman and for others,
Okay.
so that we can have a process and a procedure down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This will also be recorded so that y'all can go back to it at any time if you get lost and think, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, and you can watch it.
So
Will the chart of accounts be on the website too, or is that locked down somewhere?
no, that'll be on the website.
Okay.
Ideally and hopefully, if you all are currently serving in congregations or even congregations you attend, hopefully there's a system like this in place already. I can tell you, as somebody who went through a pretty exhaustive IRS audit at my last church, that if you don't have something like this in place, please do, because it'll save you. I remember when they called in poor Dorothy Covington, the chair of deacons, the 90-year-old chair of deacons, and we're asking her to account for expenses that deacons made because we didn't have a 2-signature system in place. And Dorothy, who's just the sweetest woman ever, is getting grilled. I don't want to see that happen here, and I don't want to see any of you. I don't want to see Michelle. I don't want to see anybody have to answer for transactions that we don't have a clue about. So it's important. It's a paper trail. It's accountability, and hopefully, again, you're gonna see the positive is gonna be better information for you to make decisions.
So Scott, can I ask another question?
Please, Nikki.
So on this chart of accounts, which I finally have gotten to, there's all of the restricted funds, which is a huge chunk of CPM funds, which am I supposed to determine which of the restricted funds money comes from, or does that happen? Do I just put it down as the CPM? We only have one administration fund. Do I put that down and then somewhere else it gets decided? Like the restricted funds, I don't know all of the information about those.
So here's what's going on right now. We are in the process of business affairs, myself, Dee. I actually have a call out, and I think I'm going to talk to Charlie today. Charlie Spencer, we're going back in time. We are trying to figure out the true purpose and functionality of designation behind every single one of those funds. And the idea then is that I'm going to contact the interested parties. One of us will contact the interested parties. So you will know what funds you have access to, or not control over, but you know what I'm saying. The idea is, and so clarity will come with that soon.
Okay.
In the meantime, talk to Dee, talk to me, and we'll figure it out. If, until that day of clarity comes, which will hopefully come soon, just holler at us and we'll do our best to direct you where you need to go.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Scott, if we're using an outside vendor, where
Yes.
do we have the bill directed? Traditionally, we've had, when we've done our conferences, we've just had the bill sent to the presbytery. And I never saw that.
No,
bill.
that's good, Alex. What I think I would have you do is you can still have them direct the bill, but I would still fill out this form and put in short description of fund use, bill will arrive at office or whatever, does that make sense, Alex?
Yeah, I just realized that a lot of times I don't know what the total bill is from a hotel.
Correct.
Until that is submitted somewhere.
Correct. So
and I don't know,
I would put an amount requested then per bill or something like that. Okay.
That helps. Yeah.
And then I will be in communication with you as to what that actual total is.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Yep. That helps.
And I just want to support that happening because after 2 years, we get a lot of bills that none of us know. I mean, people just have the bill directed to the presbytery office and we really don't know where that goes. And so this is going to help us out immensely.
Okay. Any other questions about this particular form? This is the lion's share of the work we're going to do today. Carl. Oh, you got on mute, Carl.
To reiterate what Dee said, wouldn't it really be, this would be a really good time to say no money gets paid unless, I would call this a voucher. No money gets paid unless there's a voucher from this day forward. Isn't that really in theory what should happen?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. In the sense of having two signatures who the way I would put it are a part of the essential decision-making process. Two people, and this is the apocalypse scenario, but two people, if we did get called in for the IRS master audit, would be able to look at them and say, I remember that. And I was a part of the approval of that, either in person or indirectly. I was a part of the approval for that. So, Paul?
I think just on our end, we also, and I'm sure folks do this, but we also should have recorded in our minutes when something passes and Paul or Sarah or whatever is going to submit a request to Scott. And so it's memorialized in our minutes because I might not remember something 6 months ago, but if it's there and then you guys do it, we sign off on it, then you've got that comparative ability as well.
Perfect. And that's absolutely. That's double blind is great. Dee?
We recognize, folks, this is an additional step for y'all because it requires you to know the numbers and it requires you to fill out a form. We actually joked about we were going to begin this session with a flash. This is a reference to Men in Black with a pin that sparked that flash so that you would all forget any way you've ever done this before. I know it was easier before just to send emails but the reality is we have really realized we had no way of tracking, of knowing without that institutional knowledge. And so what this does is it creates a very much of a trail for us to know this is where this money is coming from and how it was spent. And so it's real important.
I don't, in going through our receipts and different things and trying to piece together our history, folks, we have multiple $1,000 transactions where our only paper trail is a Post-it note. And the IRS, I'm not saying they're knocking on our door, but if they decided to, okay, and so we've got to do better. We have enough money moving through that we just need a higher level of accountability. Okay.
Go into your, your thoughts about the minutes and things. I think that would be good from a documentation standpoint to attach those as part of the documentation to the form, because all of that's going to be scanned together in one place. And so in the event of an audit, or if there are questions, it's all right there all together. So I would offer that. I mean, that's another piece, but
that's the benefit of it being electronic too, is we're able to store it more efficiently and different things. So anyway, yeah, good. Thank you, Michelle. All right, well, I'm gonna keep moving because I wanna respect our 10 o'clock. I wanna show, I don't know that anybody here uses direct fund transfer, EFT, electronic fund transfer type. I hate this so much. This happens all the time where the screen sharing. Okay, this is Miller's form for electronic funds transfer. I want you to ignore the bottom half of this form. This will be another form available on the website and through links and other various things. The most important thing is the information in the middle, right here. And this is the information that we need and that Miller will need to do a direct funds transfer. Okay, so if you are in a situation where you want to do a direct funds transfer to somebody, I'm thinking particularly of our folks in Kenya that we do this with. When I make payments to their work over there, we make them directly through electronic funds transfer. This will need to be filled out once, not every time. This will need to be filled out once so that they're in the Miller database, so that then we can do direct funds and immediate transfer for them. It's hopefully a pretty simple form that you can see. You've probably filled one out for your bank, and it basically just names the second party for electronics funds transfer. I just wanted to show it to you so that it's familiar to you. Do I have any questions about this?
Scott, this is Nikki again. Is this form only for recurring payments, or like we had, this goes from a bank directly to a bank. That's how we've done scholarships for the last several years.
Right.
Do we set that up for people receiving scholarships if they want it, or would you prefer sending checks? And is this the form to do if we're doing it this way?
I would recommend that it be a multi, and that's a real, the example you're using, Nikki, is one of those that's right on the line. I was going to recommend that it's monthly vendors, but I think actually Miller prefers electronic transfer. So if it's somebody that's a frequent distribution, I think they're game for it. And if your folks are game to have their information given to Miller, then sure. I don't.
Miller can't take money out. They can only put money in.
Right.
Define frequent for me, because you said frequent, and I don't know what that means for you.
So I'm thinking of monthly utility type vendors is what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But your folks are frequent enough, honestly, where
okay. So they're really, it's annual.
Yeah, it might be worth your time. Like I said,
okay.
You're kind of right on that line, and it's just a matter of if they're willing to do it and want to do it, sure. And that way, Miller's going to have their information, and it's no skin off Miller's back to do an EFT. They would prefer that. So that can be for your discernment, and their discernment. Yep.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions, Paul? You got on mute. I don't have you. No, it's okay.
I'm sorry. I was looking at other things. I had totally gotten away from my Zoom screen. In terms of the line items that we'll be writing down to draw funds from once we pass something, are you taking a shot at that, and then you want us to clarify that and kind of rewrite those according to our needs, or how are those being created?
Give me the feedback. Yes, absolutely. Fire away. I know this is the first time a lot of you have seen this chart of accounts. This chart of accounts is one that Miller created in an attempt to simplify the line item explosion that was our previous QuickBooks. And so this is, yeah, our naming and use of those charted accounts is a work in progress. So please give me input on that.
Okay, so as long as we stay within our budget, we can,
right,
and how we're spending it, we can call different line items what they are.
Yes, and we realize in 2020 it's really going to be bottom line accounting. It's going to be what was that total balance at the bottom, and as long as you're within the parameters of that, we're going to be cool.
Can I add a caveat?
Go ahead, Dee.
And this is particular to New Worshiping Communities and Pullman, because they have many accounts underneath theirs. We would say it stays within the line item though of each group. Because again, we can't consolidate all those to have like just New Worshiping Communities, and we're then distributing out to the new grant request and process that's been set up by Business Affairs. Really needs for us to be able to look at, and I'm just looking at what popped up here was let's see, like Covenant is the first one on Pullman, is if Covenant received a grant, but they also had a budgeted amount, is that we can pull out Covenant to look at all the different aspects of how monies have come in and gone out. Does that make sense? Or if it's a New Worshiping Community, if it's the open table, that there is a separate line item for that. And that would be the one area we can delineate it more, yeah, but we wouldn't want to eliminate or just consolidate all those together.
We're still trying to be able to differentiate. So that's where the feedback comes in, and you just let us know, communicate. And that's the promise I make to you, is fire away. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I have a part-time job being a pastor here, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. Yeah, I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we'll do our very best to keep you in the loop. So those are the two major forms I wanted to go through. You may notice I included a third form. This is an educational piece for everybody. We are going to be, I'm going to stop screen sharing now.
Okay.
We are going to be hiring a person at the office to do what we're going to call our front end work. It's going to be processing and writing down, recording the funds the forms we just talked about in communication with me. And it's going to go out and generally speaking, again, I'm going to use Dee's little flash thing. I have over here, I've worked through several different ways to say what I'm about to say, but I've decided to just say this: leave that person alone. Okay, don't call that poor person. Don't email that poor person. If you have questions, that person we want very much to be doing kind of the nuts and boltsy data entry. They could probably answer your questions, but we're not, personnel doesn't see church interaction as a part of that person's job. So we're probably going to hire somebody who's very good with numbers and very good with, and not a people person, right? So we're going to let them do their work. So if you're seeking out information, I know back in the day, and you would just call till you got somebody to pick up the phone, and trust me, I get it. Okay, but for now, I'll talk to them and be in communication with them. Me, Dee, these are the people to talk to, and these are the people that we want to communicate. We're trying to mainline and get everything into one pot. Okay, so that's the idea. When we're fully up and running, our assistant treasurer, Jim Spiking, will also be available for communication. And Jim and I had a great talk early on where he's not, I'm not going to have to use the device on him because he's not even learning the old system. We're avoiding confusion for Jim. And Jim and I are learning and creating the new system together so that Jim's able to answer questions too if you have them. And so, yeah, that's the idea, is that, like I said, I see my job and Jim's job as interpreters of the budget and the data, and helping you to better understand what funds are available to you and the decisions you need to make in regard to those funds. So really, that's the essence of the information I have. Dee, do you have anything you would add?
I know it's a new system, and it's going to take, we're going to have glitches. We're going to have pieces. The one piece to recognize is, because of this, I think in the past, the way we've utilized it is people have gotten payments within, split seconds. This takes a little bit longer because there's more of a paper trail created. So just being mindful. I think we extend grace to everybody, because we're all learning a brand new system, and you might plan ahead instead of wanting something that minute and expect a payment to be paid. And I would just offer, if something hasn't happened, and this is what we've even found with our current system, in transitioning, there's been somebody who didn't get paid for something. Please know it's not that we are withholding funds intentionally on our part. It's mostly because it wasn't on a radar. It wasn't on a repeat. It really was within trying to get into the system and kind of break it down. That reminder that pops up fell away. And so we welcome your feedback to know, how do we make this, and what can we do to make sure those payments occur?
And Michelle can testify to this. One of Brian's strengths was a high degree of automation. And the problem is that when automation, as our systems have gone offline, we haven't even realized the effect. And so we've consolidated some bank accounts and done some different things that have had unintentional consequences through that system of automation. We didn't realize that certain automatic payments were dependent upon these other things. And so I can't reiterate enough what Dee just said. If there's something that's not happening that needs to happen, that has always just happened, holler, because chances are in creating this new system, the old system is slowly ramping down, and there may be something that hasn't triggered yet that all of a sudden now is not happening. Okay, so please let us know.
Can I offer, as you're rolling this out, Scott and Dee, to the Presbytery, I hear you apologizing or feeling bad that there's new forms. This is the stuff I was looking for 4 years ago when I became the moderator. Like, this is normal. This is how it should be done. And so, yes, it's different for people, but this is how it should have been done, like, all along. So I don't think you need to apologize and walk on eggshells quite so much. You say, this is what we're doing because this is best practice. That's just my 2 cents, because I like to throw that in there. But yeah, don't maybe worry quite so much. This is what it should be and should have been. And so get on board if you want to get paid,
Thanks, Nikki.
Nikki, you're going to offer the treasurer's report at the next meeting, okay?
There you go. Yeah.
Plan on it. Okay. Alex?
Yeah, Carl, we talked about the electronic transfers. Stewardship works across presbyteries and synod. Do they have an automatic number? Have you assigned them some kind of thing so that when we say this needs to be paid to the synod, or this needs to be paid to whoever,
That's
that, or do we just rewrite it on the electronic form each time?
No. So are you talking about per capita payments to the presbytery from a?
No, I'm talking more when we do a conference event and we receive a certain amount of money, then do we, and that has to be forwarded to Northern Kansas. Does that, should we fill out electronic transfer or?
So the important part of that EFT form that I showed you is, it's my understanding that that once they have that information, I'm going to use you as an example, Alex. Once they have your information, every time a transaction happens for Alex Wales, they will use that information until they're told differently. So that will make it so that they then have your information. Unlike the 2 signature form that that you will fill out every time, the EFT transfer form is an informational form for them that then allows them to continue to make those transactions.
And can I offer, I think, like, so we're talking about maybe, Alex, an SOS webinar,
Right.
in which you're needing, I would say you need the 2 form piece, the 2 signature form piece, because that's just a stewardship request, and that would it would go to the Presbytery of Northern Kansas with that attached, with a check attached to it.
Right. That's fine.
I think Elizabeth had her hand up.
I got over it. I'm good.
Okay.
You got over it.
I do want to say, because y'all were part of the new moderator training, which this year was the first year we actually had an extended moderator training, and we put out an invitation that you're creating a notebook. Because if you're continuing on, yay, we love you, thank you. If you are approaching the end of your service as the moderator, hopefully you're putting together a notebook that this is a part of that really is to hand off and to sit down with the next person coming in and to transition. That is something we have found has been lost over the years, is those handoffs and how essential they are, so that the new moderator coming in has a framework to which to do and be successful in their work.
I have one other thing to say. I am departing in about 2 hours to go up and do a wedding, a responsible wedding for a friend up in Nebraska. And so I'm going to be very hard to reach this weekend. If you have questions, email me, whatever, just know you might not hear from me till Monday. Okay. And it's not because I don't like you. It's because I'm out this weekend. So yes.
Scott, when does this begin?
That's a great question. I am talking with Jennifer today from Miller, and I foresee this being something, mark on your calendars, October 15th, unless you hear from me. Let's start this process, okay? If you hear differently from me between now and then, of course, we'll move it. But I'm optimistic that we can start this on the 15th, which means the next few weeks are going to be essential as far as your feedback, because you're going to help with the rollout. If there's things about this that don't work mechanically or that we haven't considered, I need your help. Okay, so fire away.
Okay.
Awesome.
Y'all rock. This is great. I know it's a Thursday morning and you stayed in there, and it's on finances, and most people are still smiling. Some have frowns right now on their face, but now there's a smile. So thank you so much. Thanks for the work you do leading this presbytery. Your gifts, your contributions are essential, and your time is precious. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. And Scott, thank you.
Of course.
And he has his Cubbies hat on, so we'll send up prayers for the Cubbies.
Have a moment of prayer for the
today.
Cubbies bullpen, and yes. They need it desperately. No, yes.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.